Blog Talk Radio.
Everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. Glad to be back in the Carolina Sports Plus studio. Glad to have Maeio with me. Get ready to get him on the mic right now. Maeio, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back in the Carolina Sports Plus studio talking sports on this Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Apologize for the couple-minute delay. I use the phone that I use for the show. That's the only time I use this phone. And the company that I work for pays for the managers to have a phone, so I have a whole extra phone line. So that's mainly at this point what I used it for, or what I use it for. I used to also use it for, I listen to stock shows or sports shows on YouTube or whatever through the speakers of the car with it. But as of late, just the show. So sometimes it takes a minute to kind of like update itself and want to do anything because I don't ever use it but once a week. But Maeio, let them know where they can be, or where you can be found, what you got coming up, and where to like, follow, all that stuff with the Carolina Sports Plus.
All right. You can like us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Carolina Sports Plus. We got a lot of good things going on, as far as what's going on in sports, what we got to offer, and things like that. If you're around the Rayford area, May the 30th through June the 9th, we'll be at the Hope Fest at the middle school. They have fair rides. They have everything out there. So if you're in the Rayford area, please come check us out. And, again, I'm glad to be in the Carolina Sports Plus studio talking sports on this Wednesday.
If you guys missed last night, make sure you guys check out Race Chat Live. They're on every Tuesday night. They got you recapped on the closest race in NASCAR history. At Kansas, Kyle Larson wins by .0001. As another photo finish with Chris Buescher. This has been the year of photo finish. The top three closest finishes ever have been this year. It was like .0003, 0002, and now 0001. It's been insane for the NASCAR fans this year. Chris was not a happy camper, so if you guys missed the show, as I listened to him rant and rave all day long in the Facebook group, make sure you guys check that out. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Jared Hudson has Safety to Success, local racetrack show, talks about safety, usually has some drivers, some of those that work at the tracks, or that are affiliated with the tracks on the show as well. Always a great time, so make sure you guys check that out. Like us on Facebook, follow us on X, Instagram. Check out our YouTube channel, the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Watched some highlights, as with a lot of things going on, summertime, and being pulled in a lot of different directions. First thing yesterday, I was pulled in a direction that I've not really been ready for. I somehow or another, Maeio, avoided it the first two times around. I don't know how that even happened. Well, actually, the first time. The second time is actually getting ready to happen. Would have got ready to happen. So, the wife's daughter wanted to go driving. She got her temps, and Mama's not ready to be brave enough to be in the car. So I got to pull the duties yesterday with the rainstorms that came through. We got a couple yards done, then it rained, and then once it cleared out, we went driving for a while. Let her drive on the back roads, kind of the area I grew up in, probably about 20 or 30 minutes from where I live now. I actually grew up here as well. It was kind of two different parts of my life. One was my father's house, the other was my mom's house, and so with a divorced parent, so I grew up kind of both places, but where I grew up with the father, it was the back roads in the middle of nowhere, so I saw that as an opportunity to just have open road, stop signs that I didn't have to worry about other cars at for the most part and all that cool stuff. And then actually, the way back, managed to hit 2 main roads and drove through like 3 cities, so I was feeling real comfortable by the time we got done in about an hour and a half drive. But did catch some sports the last couple of days, even with everything going on. I want to discuss something, Mario, and I really feel if this would have been LeBron James that did this, the NBA world, and this is not a shot at or in defense of LeBron James. It really has nothing to do with LeBron James. I'm just using it as an example, because if it would have been LeBron James and he would have did what we saw Jamal Murray do, the NBA world would have flipped. And instead, the NBA world is kind of just satisfied with Jamal Murray only getting a $100,000 fine, no suspension, even though that could have, a player could have slipped on it because one of the 2 things he threw did land on the court. Someone could have slipped, twisted something. It could have changed the momentum of the game. There's a lot of things that could have happened. And then now, on top of that, you kind of set the bar. Like, okay, we can help dictate a game. We can throw something on the courts. We're only going to get fined $100,000. If that could change the outcome and I become NBA champion and it's only going to cost me $100,000, I think it's well worth it in my best interest to take this opportunity and take $100,000 for the team to win a championship. Like, Mario, did we just open a whole can of worms that we should have not been opening in the middle of the playoffs?
All right. Now I can understand where you're coming from, right? I honestly and truly do. You know, that's a valid point that you made. You know, with the series being right now 2-0, you know, the Nuggets going back home, I think the commissioner, not saying he's David Stern, because you already know how Stern would have been, you know what I mean, rest in peace and all that good stuff.
Would have probably been done for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
That was David Stern.
So I can, I can respect the Stern part. You know what I mean? The $100,000 fine is really not big to a millionaire, so that's kind of like just, we don't really count that. I felt like the NBA didn't want to put something bad out there where they'll go down 3-0 and then possibly get swept, or, a gentleman's sweep 3-1 and then go on to the Western Conference Finals. But looking at Murray right now and how he's playing and how Denver's playing against Minnesota, Minnesota, they're playing like they are playing like they're the better team. Them young boys are hungry and all that good stuff. So I can feel the reason why 100,000, was just kind of like just thrown out there. He's not a bad player. He doesn't make, Murray, he doesn't do a lot of stuff out the way. You could tell during that game he was upset just because how the game went, the calls, and how they was playing defense around him. So that right there, part among frustration right there. So I would give the NBA, a little pass. You know what I mean? It's, nobody got hurt.
Mario.
It was kind of like
Mario.
I understand.
Mario.
I understand.
One, if that were LeBron James and you just got done saying that, you know how ridiculed he would be for the rest of your life. Like, first of all, no. I understand and I agree. The NBA does not want to see your champs down 3-0, and if you suspend Jamal Murray, there's a good chance that you don't have LeBron, you don't have KD, you don't have Steph Curry, and you don't have the Nuggets. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
You just open a whole can of worms. Like, it's not just affecting these playoffs. Now you're affecting future playoffs and what you're ultimately saying, what a player can get away with, and the possibilities and the slap on the wrist. Like, and I understand nobody got hurt this time, but who would have said when the second, I think it was the second thing he threw, would have, and the player didn't see it, and like it landed when the shot was already shot, and they were going up for rebound, and the player came down and slid, and like there's so many possibilities of what could have happened. We've all been to basketball games. We see the work that the crew puts in as soon as the team goes down together in the court that you don't see on TV, trying to make sure that they don't slip in anything. There's no wet spots. Like the court people that I don't know what their official titles are, bust their butt the entire game and get out of the way. You very rarely ever see them involved or in the way, or an NBA player having to hurl around one of those people mopping or sweeping the floors or whatever, they're dry mopping, whatever. Like, they do a phenomenal job. And there's a lot of work that people don't see to make sure that this court is so the players don't get hurt. And then you have a player in frustration. And you want to say that Denver pleaded, well, he didn't mean to throw it, well, or let go. He was just in frustration. Well, you did it twice. Like, there's no doubt what's going on here. I'm sorry, but there has to be. This has been the word of my house for the last month, maybe 2 months with the kids. There has to be consequences. There's always consequences for things you do or you decide not to do. Kids decide not to do chores. I tell them there's consequences. No, you don't get to drive my car because you've not done what you're supposed to do. No, you don't get to use your phone. Your phone is up for the weekend. There are consequences for you not feeding the cat, or there's consequences has been the word of the house for months now. I'm sorry, but there's got to be consequences. And I know it sounds harsh, and I know as petty as it is, there are so many. There's just the Pandora box that could be opened because of this. You're. I don't know. I just feel that the NBA should have squashed it. The player did not once but twice. Let's squash it now before. That's the way it should have been handled. As harsh as it sounds, and I don't care that it's the Denver Nuggets. Like I'm sorry. The NBA should have squashed it. Like, no, this will never happen again. Like, we're not even going to chance it. I'm sorry. I just feel about it.
It sounds. Look, I totally. You know, it's kind of like the debate thing. You know, as far as me versus you, but I totally understand. You know, I understand where you're coming from. You know, I feel, as far as the NBA, they should have did, but they didn't do. You know, even if it was a suspension for next year, which I totally understand. You know what I mean? You can't just do stuff just to do it and don't have consequences behind it. And I totally understand where you're coming from. But at the same token, I just think, the commissioner didn't want to walk that fine rope, that stern, that you can't just do what you want to do type of rope. Just because we already know how he operates. As far as the work in China, the work here, the trying to expand the league. So I understand. It is 2024, and people do feel entitled to make mistakes without no consequences. And sometimes the world isn't like that in the real world. So I understand where you're coming from.
And another thing that was said, and I don't know. I might be a little bit out of the way when I say it the way I say it, but it's just how I feel about it. I don't understand why people just say stupid things. It seems like they just say it in front of them, sit in front of a mic and say it just because they are who they are, or they Austin Rivers is talking about he feels there's 30 NBA players that could go easily play in the NFL right now, but I think it was vice versa, don't feel the same. I'm not going to say no, there's nobody that is in the NFL that could go play the NBA or NBA that could go play the NFL. I mean, I think we all like to think and fantasize what could have been with LeBron James, with his size, his physique. What if he would have played football? Would he be the chosen one? Would he be King James still? There's a lot of things, what ifs. Where I have an issue and why I call it stupidity is just because you have a certain body type or just because you're athletic doesn't mean you can instantly go play another sport. Just because you're athletic doesn't mean your athleticism is the same in that sport versus what you are in the sport you currently are. Or that it takes the same kind of endurance to play one sport versus another, or the crossover of the positions and what that physically entails or actively entails doesn't necessarily match up. So just say, oh, there's no doubt in my mind 30 players in the NBA could go play in the NFL. No, that's not like you. It's like, to me, you're just totally disrespecting the whole NFL and what it takes to be an NFL player. And I would feel the same way if someone said vice versa, that, oh, there's easily 30 NFL players that could go play in the NBA today. I don't, just because you have a similar stereotypical body frame doesn't mean. We watch Michael Jordan. He has a stereotypical body frame of a baseball player. He sucked at it. So, I mean, that's a prime example. Just because you have that, you're an athlete and you have that particular body frame doesn't mean you can cross over. It's not that it's that easy. And I don't know, I just feel like you're disrespecting the NFL more than trying to say that these NBA players are gifted. Even in researching into this whole topic and conversation, most people don't feel there's much more than 5 or 10 NBA players that could just go play in the NFL. This is not a popular belief across, the entire sports world. But I just feel that, like, I don't know. Do you in your mind, when you just sit there and think of random players? I'm not saying nobody can't cross over, and we know a lot of NFL players that played college basketball or played high school basketball, and who knows, they might have been a great basketball player, and we'll never know. And luckily for us, most of the time, they end up going on to be great NFL players or great NBA players instead of LeBron playing the NFL, and we never know. But we got lucky. He just was great in an NBA player, so we didn't miss out on nothing because we got to see greatness in another sport. Anybody off the top of your head, like, am I feeling too much in my own way about what was said to see more of the light? So what do you think about that?
Even that right there is kind of iffy. You know what I mean? I understand a lot of people play, a lot of athletes anyway. From the NBA, even if you're NBA or NFL, play 2 sports. You know what I mean? It's just, that is it's just a way to stay active, you know what I mean, all year round, in high school. Once you get into college, we saw the Draymond Green situation when he lined up at tight end. We seen how that went. You understand? When he came out there in pads and tried out for the tight end while he was playing basketball, we seen what happened there. You know what I mean? There are players that are athletic that can play basketball and football, but once you get to that dedication point, of what it takes to win in football and what it takes to win in basketball, they're totally 2 different things. You know what I mean? Just because a player is good in the NBA doesn't mean he'll be good on that football field. It will go vice versa. Just because you're good in football doesn't mean you'll dominate in an NBA, just because there's a little bit different things that you have to do. So, that comment kind of reached. I understand, Rivers was just trying to make a point, but, it's just different. I don't think them NBA players can take hits like NFL players can, just because their body is not trained to take them type of hits or type of, them they take really hard lickings. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same token, the NFL players, they're not trained. They're not really trained to, run and jump high or shoot a ball in a hoop. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it was a reach, in my opinion. But there's some players that can definitely play basketball, football players that can definitely play basketball. And there's obviously players that can play basketball that could play football, but we just don't know.
Fortunately for my family, my wife, I live in Ohio, but unfortunately, because of Cincinnati Bengals, I live in Ohio. I don't know. I guess that's how I want to say it. I got to hear all the Joe Burrow headlines. Joe Burrow this, Joe Burrow that. For the love of God, 3 straight years of declining numbers, 3 years of not being able to stay healthy, 3 years of the same hype, no results. Now you're having less and less players because contracts are now becoming an issue because you couldn't get it done in the window that you needed to get it done. And it's not, I'm taking a shot at the Cincinnati Bengals. I told everybody that this maybe next year is the window for the Browns. Like, this is where we're losing our window, and now all ours has got to do with the fact that we overpaid and gave up everything in the future for Deshaun Watson, and it has to be now because we can't afford nothing else. We've done shot ourselves in the foot. But the Bengals, their window is now, this season's closing. You done lost some key receivers. Now you got the whole T. Higgins thing going on. You done lost Mixon. You're just, and now Joe Burrow's had 3 injuries, 3 different kinds of injuries. One of them is affecting his throwing hand, like non-related. Some of them just weird. It's like not even contact injuries. I think we might have seen the best it's going to get for the Bengals in this Joe Burrow era. Like, unless they can find a way to be a shutdown defense, which Hendrickson already talked about. He wanted a contract out of there to be traded out of there as well. Unless they can have a shutdown defense that they don't necessarily have to be a high-scoring offense, I think we've seen the best of the Bengals under the Burrow era. I don't know if you couldn't do it with all these players, all the talent around you that you had, because they were all on rookie contracts and cheap contracts. Now that you're getting lesser and lesser on the talent because you can't afford everybody, I don't see how it gets any better for you. I think the Bengals fans are about to be sadly disappointed. We're on the back end of this. I think this is how I see the AFC North, and tell me if I'm wrong. I see the Bengals declining. I think the year or so after that, the Browns start declining, coming off their hype up. I think, meanwhile, we're going to start to see the Steelers make their way back up to the top. And I think Baltimore is just going to hang around there and be that little brother of the Steelers like it has been for so many years, until the Bengals and the Browns decided for about 2 years we were going to do something. We both screwed it up. We didn't maximize in our windows. Now we're going to descend back to where we were. And the Steelers, meanwhile, have been rebuilding and replugging. Now you got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and now you got all these players, and Mike Tomlin, who's never had a losing season. I know there's a lot of hype around Baltimore, and Baltimore probably will take the AFC North this year. I don't see them winning the championship. I don't see them going to the Super Bowl. And I think there's a lot of expectations in this running game, but I think the defenses will adjust better than people are projecting, because everybody's like, oh, my God, now you got this running back duo. All you did was make you even more run dominant. Like, most teams don't fear your passing game. It takes you a few passes for any defense to really start respecting it, and they still only put so much respect on it because we only expect so much out of Lamar Jackson in the air and it to be only so accurate for so long. So if now you add to the running game, you're going to be even more run dominant because now you're going to feel you're invincible. Hell, now it's either Lamar Jackson dancing around or Derrick Henry running over everybody. I think defenses are going to adjust. I think they're going to size up against Baltimore. And what I mean is I think up front they're going to have bigger bodies, maybe even add an extra linebacker to help with the running game and go with more single coverage in the passing game until they feel Lamar Jackson is an actual legitimate threat. Then they might shift around and hold some people back for double coverage on the receivers. But until Lamar Jackson can actually put the fear into the defense on a consistent basis, I think they just size up some, add a little bit more to the middle to shut down the run game, and it's going to make Lamar have to beat him in the air, and I don't think they got it. And that's how I see the AFC North playing out this year and for the next handful of years.
You made a good argument. You know, you got a lot of valid points. You know, as far as with the Bengals and with Joe Burrow coming back and how he looks. But, on the defense side, if you can keep Burrow healthy, which has been a problem, with the offensive line and things like that. I think with Mixon leaving, the running back, thing is important, because Mixon did make a lot of plays, no matter how you may feel about what he does off the field or how he acts. He does make plays on the football field. With Joe Burrow being hurt, last year we're only having, over 2,000 yards, 15 TDs, compared to 2022 when he had over 4,000 yards. If you can keep him upright, you got a chance. I understand about the Lamar Jackson situation just because, I wanted to see him finally get over the hump, which I thought was supposed to be last year. I was always the one trying to make, defense about him, talking about, he can throw the ball, he's accurate, even with Carolina, I had to make the same argument with Cam Newton. So I was kind of like used to always backing up a quarterback who really can't throw, to be honest. You know what I mean? To be honest, is Jackson an accurate quarterback? Really, no, he's not. Is he a good running quarterback? Yes, he is. Do he make a lot of, splash plays to make Sports Center and top tens and things like that? Yes, he will. But once you get into the playoffs, one win scenario, you can't go out there and just run on first and second down and get to 3rd and 7, and now you have to pass the ball and it goes down to your knees or it's an overthrow. You just can't do that in the playoffs. You get what I'm saying? You can get away with it during regular season just because, you got a good defense or things may turn around on the next drive. Y'all, as far as, fans or coaches or, there's always a next drive. But once you get into the playoffs and you get to 2 third downs and back-to-back drives and it's just incomplete, it really does take away from the game. Is Lamar Jackson, can he make a 3rd and 7, 1 for 1 on his first throw of the drive? I would say no. So I understand how people may feel about Jackson, how you feel about he's not an accurate quarterback. And, I finally gave in and saying no, he's not. Is he an interesting player? Yes, he is. But if you want to talk about Joe Burrow, you just got to keep him healthy. I think he does make a lot of interesting, better plays than Jackson does. I think the Ravens will be there. They'll be in the mix. I think Pittsburgh then got better, just because of the quarterback situation. I don't think Russell Wilson is Joe Burrow, no. But will Russell Wilson make better plays than Pickett did last year? Yes, he will. Will he make more accurate plays on big third downs or make big runs when you need 3 yards and you can scramble for 3 yards to keep a drive going instead of taking a sack or throwing a ball, an inaccurate pass? I think Wilson will be a lot better. So it's going to be a mix in there, but you just got to keep Burrow healthy. If he gets hurt, Cincinnati, just like any other NFL team, would take a big hit, but you just got to keep him healthy.
I ain't had a chance to watch it yet. I've seen different clips, the Dana White clip. I've heard a couple Gronkowski's clip. Did you get an opportunity to see or hear anything of the Tom Brady roast?
Yeah, I saw a couple of interesting things, as far as like the jokes and the things that Tom Brady had to go through, as far as, when you give an opportunity to people just to joke on you, say whatever they want, of course it's going, I wouldn't say out of bounds, as far as with his wife and all the type of things, but that's the only thing they can really go to, because his NFL career was so good and all the rings that he got. So they really got to go to the, being married, getting cheated on by getting cheated on, them the things that people can get away with. But as far as the football field, he did a great job, but he also did a great job taking all the licks that he took. So, it's all entertainment. It's all in good fun, but it was entertaining for sure.
Hold on, Martin, Jimmy. I got to tell somebody something real quick. Plug Carolina Sports. Let them know where they're going to find you upcoming real quick while I take care of this real quick.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. You can check Carolina Sports Plus out online, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We always got something going on, talking about anywhere from football, soccer, hockey, with the Hurricanes being down 0-2, coming home, there's always good things we're promoting. You can check us out May 30th through June 9th at the Hope Fest. So definitely come out and celebrate, have a good time, and we'll definitely have merchandise and a team that you like.
All right, I'm back. Everybody's gone except the oldest. He works during the daytime, and he comes home about this time. I just want to make sure he knew I had food in there for him and everything. But yeah, it says a lot about really all of them that ever get roasted, but more so someone like Tom Brady, who, like, you're the best ever to play your sports. And then you have thick enough skin, just sit there, and there's a lot of things that people could pick at, from Deflategate, which I liked how he responded to that. I thought it was pretty funny. Somebody spent all that money and basically couldn't prove he did it, and basically, I forget how he worded it. And he was like, hell, you could have just paid me that money and I would have told you I did it. So, like, to be able to take the jokes about Deflategate, his wife, everything. I did hear that he said that the whole Robert Kraft thing was off limits. Don't say that S again. But for the most part, to be the best of the best, and to then sit there and let people just kind of talk smack about you in front of everybody that everybody's going to talk about for the longest of times, it's pretty cool that you get them to do that kind of thing. But I'm just curious. I am going to take time. I guess it's on Netflix. We'll take time to sit down and watch it. I'm kind of curious to see, all the different people that actually roasted them and everything that was said. Shoot, there was something else that I was going to talk about. I had something already lined up. Got anything on the top of your head before as I find what I got coming up next?
Yeah, as far as since it's NBA time, you know what I mean? I think, the Minnesota, Denver, we talked about that, but that's definitely getting a good series. But I think the game that's coming on tonight, New York and Indiana, that's going to be a big one. You never thought about, you haven't thought about Indiana for a long time, besides the Reggie Miller days, you know what I mean? So it is good.
And I miss those days. Like, I miss the days, and we're about the same age group where you had your Reggie Miller and your Davises, and you had on New York, you had John Starks, and you had that whole group of people, Mason. I miss those days of, those were good games. Even not being fans, you wanted to watch them. You wanted to watch, especially those three. I did not like any of the three. I didn't like Chicago, Indiana, or New York. But you wanted to watch all those series, especially in the playoffs, because it was feisty, it was ugly. Your Patrick Ewings, I remember the Rick Smiths. It was fun to watch, even just as a general NBA fan. And I hope we kind of get the same thing. I wish we'd get a little bit more. I don't know, it just felt like it meant more in those days. Like there was more pride. I don't know if it got to do with a lot of the players bouncing around, and there's really, even with players or team owners, the same loyalty. But I mean, it just felt like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like growing up, like there was a certain pride that came with being a Pacer, a certain pride of being a Knick, a certain pride of being a Bull, and like you took that like it was personal. You had Spike Lee on the edge of the court yelling at players, and like it was personal for everybody. If you were from the Chicago, it was personal when New York came to your arena. It was personal in the same way for like all three of those, and that's the way it was. I don't feel as personal. I don't know if there's not the same attachment because the players move around so much. I don't know if there's not the same kind of attachment because teams are constantly upgrading trade players. I don't know, but I wish we could get back to that feeling of the pride, that feeling of, screw you, I would rather spit on you versus, like every video I've ever watched of a Philadelphia. I don't know if I'd ever want to go to a Philadelphia Eagles football game, not unless I'm in an Eagle jersey. Like, they are ruthless. Like, there is serious attitude. Have you ever seen, like, different YouTube videos of Eagles fans? Like, that's got to be, like, one of the most ruthless group of people outside tailgating I've ever seen. Buffalo Bill fans, they just jumping off stuff and trying to go through tables. But the Eagles fans, unless you have an Eagles jersey on, like, they don't like nothing about you. And they all want to spit and beat you up. Like it's just crazy, every video I've ever seen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That, so, getting back to Indiana and New York, it does feel good to see him back in the playoffs, with Brunson. He's balling right now. I think he got 33, 40-plus games, all back-to-back. So, it's going to be an interesting series. I think the referees got in the way, during the fourth quarter, during that game, with the calling the picks and I want to say the touchy fouls, but they got a little carried away. But New York won, so it's definitely going to be a great series to see.
What do you think about this young OKC team?
Oh, they're definitely balling. I think they're deep, as far as the starters, and then definitely got good role players coming off the bench and know their role. But they're very talented. I think it's a good thing for the NBA, especially the market. With OKC doing the right thing. As far as,
do you think it's better for that for the market or for the younger generation, or both? Because you're marketing a team that is very popular right now, but you're also marketing to a younger group. This is like the youngest team since I think 1980 was the next most recent team, and I think they were 26 years and some odd days old to win it. And I think it might have been a Laker team. I can't remember who it was. This team is 24 years and like 293 days is their average going into the finals or whatever they based it off of. But yeah, like that's just. You see, I'm doing it.
No, I agree. It's you know.
Do you see it? Do you see him doing it?
Now, it's just different. It's just different now. It's just different as far as sports now, just because they're leaving so early. They're leaving out of from high school. Some are just playing, then sitting out. Their senior year, then they go to college. Then they stay 1 year or 2 years in the NBA. The NBA is getting younger and younger and younger. There's not a lot of players that stars really that are sitting in college, 3 to 4 years. So the talent.
That's kind of been a trend for a little bit there, Mario. I don't know. I think it also takes luck because you put that many players at that young of age on the same team. Like, we've had some young. I mean, Kobe kind of started a whole trend where you had players coming out of high school, and I know they changed the rule, but after that, you stayed pretty young for a while. I think that you just had so many veteran players on teams, like they weren't loading up on, like OKC loaded up on a bunch of young players. Like I think it took a lot of luck and a lot of really research to put this team together at such a young age and to be clicking like that is because that's a lot of young, unexperienced attitude together. Like that's, but just to have all that team together and average age to be so young means that they have really just gotten rid of all the older players and just really build a team young together at the same time. And I can only imagine how hard and masterful. It's kind of like the whole Moneyball, where you weren't necessarily just getting big names. Like there was probably a lot of statistics and things behind it, analytics, to put this team together to fit the pieces and be so young. Because it's not common. Like it's been 40 years since a team this young is a legitimate contender.
Yeah. But they're talented. They're talented and young. And you're going to have to do a lot of running and jumping messing with them. So, I agree.
I was kind of excited and happy that my Cavaliers made it through round one, but then knowing that they got to play Boston and they got manhandled in round two, it was just so entertaining. Yeah. So, I don't expect my Cavaliers to make it through round two, unfortunately. Oh, Lord. What else was there? I did end up going to the game last week. We won 4-0.
Okay.
I made it, for those that didn't listen to last week's show or are not a frequent listener of the show, I split half a season 3 ways of the Dayton Dragons as the high class A of the Cincinnati Reds. And so we get 11 games each. We're like third row up, probably 5 seats from the dugout. Long week. So, and a Thursday night, and those that don't know my schedule, I usually get up sometime between 3 and 3:30, depending on the day, maybe 4 o'clock. So by 7, 8, 9 o'clock, I'm done. That's why one of the reasons we moved the show up an hour was to make it where I didn't have to stay up as late. Especially when we did go back to doing the 2-hour show once the NFL season kicks back around and we extend the show, but it just makes it where I don't have to stay up later. So about the third inning, I think we were up 2-0 at that point in time, and I'd already missed 2 or 3 plays where I started nodding off, and then the crowd would cheer, and I'm like, oh man. So I was like, you know what? At the end of the third, let's go walk. So from the top of the fourth inning all the way through to the 8th inning, we walked around the entire baseball field multiple times. which is, it's not like this gigantic, enormous field, but it's a baseball field. I mean, you still had to walk around the seats and, because, everybody's seats and out in the concession and everything else. We got to the 8th inning. For those that haven't kept up or don't listen to the show often as well, the wife is going through a lot of medical stuff. So we got to the 8th inning. She's like, I can't do any more laps. And I was like, look, we stood there and watched the last hour or so of the 8th. I was like, I just wanted to make sure. I said, there's only been six hits in this entire game. It's a 4-0 game. I really don't expect anything to happen in the 9th inning, which nothing happened in the 9th inning. But did get a chance to get my first game in. I got one next Friday, so looking forward to that. Hopefully I will be a little more attentive and not have to walk around so much. But, I got my first baseball game into the season, so that was fun and very exciting. New team, a lot of new players. I don't know if the wife doesn't quite. I don't know if she quite finds me entertaining, but I know that's definitely true. I don't think she finds me entertaining most of the time, but I don't know if she doesn't just. It's just that she don't find me entertaining, or if she doesn't get my jokes or what I mean. But like, one of the players on the Dayton Dragons, which they tried to hype up, people were cheering, only bats like a 143. I'm like, and then one of the whole spew, I was like, must be rough to be a baseball player where you're really average at best. I mean, come on, let's be honest. A 300 batting average is a good batting average in baseball. So that's saying all I got to do is hit 3 balls out of 10 times, and I'm considered to be a good player. Like, that's all it takes. Like, if we all I only had to be 30% good to be considered great, like, the insanity of this world. But anyway, I know I'm comparing apples and oranges, but I was like, this player bats 143. I said, they're trying to hype this up, make this a big deal. I said, this dude literally hits the ball like 1 out of every 10 times. Like, there's nothing to get excited about. As he got out, I think every time that he batted that night as well. I'm like, there is literally nothing to be hyped about. I said, I hope that he is this phenomenal elite defensive player. I said, because he's literally worth nothing at all on the offense. Like 1 out of every 10 visits. That means on average about once out of every 3 games he hits the ball. So there's like literally no use for you on offense. So, I don't know if she just doesn't get my humor or just doesn't find my humor funny, but I thought the fact that he batted 143 and everybody was excited he came up was just, I don't know, odd to me. I don't know. It's crazy. I know I saw this headline sometime over the last week or two that we had a baseball game where they've already cleared the benches. And I mean, I know, well, I don't know, but I couldn't imagine. I don't know what caused the benches to be cleared. But I could imagine ever getting hit by a fastball, any ball coming at me, really at any speed, I'm probably going to want to fight. But you start talking about 80, 90, 100 miles an hour hitting me with the ball, I probably want to take your head off. It's just crazy to me that we're 30 games into a 160-game season and you're fighting already. Like, baseball, and this is why, and people take this so wrong. I truly am a baseball fan. Like, I literally pay for, if I could afford to have full season tickets and didn't have to split it, I literally would go and have full season. I'm not going to say I would go to all games. I would probably give some to my family and let them go to the games. I don't know if I would go to all 66 games. I don't know if my life, even if I was retired, would be that open that I could go to 66 ball games in a 2 or 3 month stretch of, summertime. But I truly love being at the ballpark. It is very exciting to me. I hate missing any of the games that I don't get to go to. I have actually paid for extra games to watch different Reds players come back out of rehab, and I hate the Reds. But I love baseball. But 162 games is just so daggone long and boring that I just cannot.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being that all wound up 30 games into the season. You got a long way to go, a lot of games to already be suspended or hurt yourself over a fight in week 2 of week 600. It's like, I don't know. I say that, and I don't like to lose. Like I said, I don't know what caused the bench to brawl. It could have been getting hit by a ball or bad pitches multiple times, and I get it. But I don't know. Like, some of these baseball fans, I don't. Do you look at it different, Mario? Like, I know that there are some very over-the-top NFL players or NFL fans, but I feel that you only have 16 games, 17 games. So, like, that amplifies everything. Like, it's not 160 games, so basically every game counts as 10 games of baseball. And so, like, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Like, it shouldn't mean more to NFL players than baseball fans, or NFL fans than baseball fans. But I feel that's why. Like, so I don't feel that it's over the top, but I've seen some, like, over the top baseball fans. I'm like, you got 159 other games to be there, 161 other games to, like, this is not an NFL season where there's only 16. Like, you only get to lose a few, and then you're done. Like, baseball, you can lose, like, 60 games and still make the playoffs. Like, probably even more than that. I don't know how many you can. I ain't kept up with the playoffs and what the cutoff is in so long. I don't know. Do you have different, like, do you have different fan bases, like, you just excuse? Like, I guess if any other fan base act like that, you'd be like, what is wrong with that fan base, or why? But because it's a certain fan base, you don't think anything of it. Like me with the NFL, like, I don't know if I'm just so used to it, or I've been around. I don't know, but, like, I don't, other than when I see, now the only time that this opinion changes is when I see some of these ridiculous fights at a stadium, especially when you see multiple people beating up on one person or whatever, like, really just do some ignorant drunk stuff. But, like, for the most part, kind of expected out of NFL fans because it's such a 17-week high-emotion roller coaster ride that I kind of excuse what I hear, or I don't think about a lot of things that, if that was another fan base, I probably would have a strong opinion about it. Like, why are you acting this way? Like, there's 80 more games to go, or there's 100 more games to go, or even hockey. I forget how many they play, but it's a high amount. I think it's in the 80s as well. Like, if any other fan base acted like some of these NFL fans, I probably would have a thought, but I kind of just throw it to the side. I think the only other fan base that I kind of do that for is, like, WWE fans. And I know this is, like, really left field, but, like, you buy into the storylines and the fake wrestling, and I don't want to take anything away from those that do this professionally, like the athleticism, or I don't know, I'm jacking that up, and the choreographic, or how do you say that word too, that you guys put into every show, and how you make it look as real as you can possibly make, and the actual physical harm that you put yourself through is going through tables and getting hit by chairs. I don't care what you do. When I hear that steel chair hit your back, it's got to hurt. When I see red welts across your back, I know that hurt. When you got slapped 15 times and there's red welts across your chest, I know at some point it hurt. So I'm not trying to take anything away from it. But to see these WWE fans all wrapped up into these storylines and like want to fight and like take it personal and hate people in real life because of the character they portrayed in wrestling, that's like the only other fan base I kind of excuse, because that was, if an NBA fan acted like they do as a WWE fan, you would have a field day with it. Like, it just makes no sense. Is there any fan base you kind of just like, you know what? Yeah, I never really thought about it, but yeah, I kind of make excuses or don't even think about or just so used to. But any other fan base did or said some of the things, I probably would think twice about it.
Yeah, you know, especially then with the NFL, you know, I'll be around a lot of football fans, you know, during that time, just by being out and being in different cities and things like that. You know, there's a difference between Cowboy fans, Eagles fans. You know, even that trash talk right there is always going to go on and on and on. You know, you already know how a Cowboy fan talks. You know, but they're getting more humble now, though. You know, especially, you know, being out there now, you know, with them having a great year and still losing to Green Bay, they're getting a little bit getting a little bit more humble. You know, you can see that a lot of them are just you know, hearing the trash talk about them talk about things that happened so long ago. But I can honestly say, them Cowboy fans out there, they're getting humble about what's going on. They're ready to win something just because, you know, that star in America's team is only going so far now. You know, especially in 2024. You know, there's only a certain amount of things that Cowboy fans can say. And, you know, their top line was America's team. You know, statistics and how things are going, that's kind of fading away. You know what I mean? Where what's going on with Jerry Jones and just the average talk about the team, who is America's team in NFL. Even though the Cowboys came up with the little slogan and whatnot, but that is getting farther and farther away from the Cowboys. So I can say the Cowboys are getting a little bit more humble. You know, the Eagles fans, they're still going to talk trash just because, you know, they're from Philly or they root for a Philly team, and that's how they're supposed to root for a team. You know, but once you get to talking to them about stats and how things are going, you know, with Jalen Hurts and, you know, getting to the Super Bowl and not winning it, how it's looking. So they're still going to talk their trash, but it's just getting a little bit more humble. It feels good to hear the humbleness of the Cowboys now, you know, especially being out there. But yeah, I agree. I can agree. I'm going with the Cowboys being a little bit more humble in their trash talk and how they view their own teams now. You know, because they're quick to talk about, you know, their quarterback situation, how, you know, things should go. But I'm gonna say Cowboys. I like how humble they're being in 2024 starting off.
All right, let's go ahead and get things wrapped up for tonight. Let me know, once again, where you're going to be at, where you can be found, liked, and all the whatnots.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. You can follow Carolina Sports Plus on social media, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We got a lot of good things going on. You know, we got a lot of good topics. We got a lot of good things to sell. If you're live and out there in the real world, if you're in Rayford, North Carolina, on May 30th through June 19th, we'll be at the Hope Fest, right across the street from Walmart, you know, big lights and all that. So come out there and check us out and see what we got to offer. But until next time, see y'all next Wednesday.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Safety to Success, right here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Check out the site, www.the110nationsportsradionetwork.com. It's got all our shows, blogs, videos, show schedules, links to all the different platforms. It'll be iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, YouTube, you name it. We are there. Facebook, Instagram, X. Make sure you check all those out. Next week, we'll be back here in the Carolina Sports Plus studio. Until next week.